This semester, I did my social media project on Tumblr, and used it to take a closer look at the Lincoln Project. The strategy of the Lincoln Project was stated very succinctly by Kurt Bordella, a senior advisor to the Lincoln Project. He said the strategy and message to beat Trump has been there all along. I always point to one of my favorite quotes from The Art of War: "If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him." And you can understand why Trump might be irritated by the Lincoln Project. 3 of its founders are former campaign, public affairs, and legal consultants that have actually, in their careers, been instrumental in paving the way for the election of Donald Trump. Rick Wilson worked with Lee Atwater on the Willie Horton ad. George Conway has been a conservative lawyer and opinion writer in Washington, D.C. for 30 years. Steve Schmidt is a strategist who's worked on Republican political campaigns, including George W. Bush, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Arizona Senator John McCain. The Lincoln Project has been faced with the following rhetorical situation. The rhetors, the ethos, are the Lincoln Project. I noted the group of former Republicans who are anti-Trump. The subject, the logos, is that the election of Donald Trump to a second term is a danger to our democracy. The audience, the pathos, actually changes per ad. It includes baby boomers, Americans concerned about COVID-19, mothers, evangelicals, and anti-Trump Republicans. As stated, the exigency is the need to defeat Donald Trump in November. The context here is the Trump administration's abysmal response to the COVID-19 crisis and the civil unrest. The purpose is to motivate Republicans and independents to vote against Trump in November. And the genre are digital ads being run on the internet and on TV, including Fox News. The first ad I took a look at was this one. It's the ad with the striking image of the white body bags lined up. As the camera pulls out, we see the body bags turn into red and white stripes and eventually form the American flag. The whole time we hear Trump say, and again, when you have 15 people and the 15 within a couple of days is going down to 0, down to 0, down to 0, down to 0. Then we see flashed on the screen the title, which is 100,000 Dead Americans, One Wrong President. If you notice, the president made this statement on February 26th, and this ad was released in May. It was a pretty quick turnaround. The next video is entitled Warzone. Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime who does not even try to unite the American people, does not even try to pretend to try. Instead, he tries to divide us. General James Mattis. This is a very powerful ad that looks at Trump's response to the civil unrest and the protests. It states that Trump took shelter in the White House bunker as protests in Lafayette Park raged. He tweeted, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts," which is a quote of Bull Connor from the 1960s. And we see scenes of current unrest in Trump's America interspersed with scenes from 60s unrest in the South and Vietnam protests in general. And then the video proceeds to quote the bishop of the church that Trump did his photo op in front of, which was the reason he cleared the park. They turned holy ground into a battleground, is what she said. This is an ad that's clearly aimed at baby boomers. They may have protested themselves in the 60s. They very likely remember events like the Kent State Massacre, which 50 years later, actually most public opinion is now siding with the students. It's not a good look for the president. Now, Trump has not lost evangelical support. Not through the pussy tape incident in the campaign, the boast that he could shoot anyone on Fifth Avenue and not lose votes, We also see shots of evangelical preachers professing their loyalty to Trump. But Trump is a man who has said he's never sought forgiveness from God, who says he likes to keep God out of it being politics, I guess. And of course, he's the man who was sleeping with a porn star while his third wife had just given birth to his youngest son. So this ad is very directly aimed at evangelicals who've compromised their convictions and beliefs, all in support of this president. When Donald Trump and William Barr sent federal troops to Portland, Oregon to quell the protests, moms came out in their yellow shirts, linked arms, and tried to protect the protesters, who were their children, from tear gas attacks and the extrajudicial kidnappings of protesters that was happening on the street. The ad proceeds to vividly contrast the courage of these moms staring down federal troops in riot gear and camouflage with the cowardice of Trump, who ran to the bunker when there were protests in Lafayette Square. This is a group of white suburban moms, a group that Trump actually had vote for him in 2016 and has been losing support in ever since Inauguration Day. The last ad I looked at is entitled Truth. In it, we see and hear Trump saying that he wants to slow the testing down. The Lincoln Project responds to this idiocy by noting that slowing down the testing will slow down saving lives, controlling the virus, alleviating the healthcare system, and reopening the economy safely. They state, during the biggest health crisis of this generation, Trump has asked his officials to slow down the one thing that could keep us safe: testing. So will it work? Trump has been losing support among seniors, especially those concerned about COVID-19, suburban moms, as we have seen, and moderate to conservative independents. Will this make a difference? Is the Lincoln Project partly responsible for some of this turnaround? They have recently actually endorsed the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket. So it remains to be seen, but it certainly will be interesting to break down those exit polls after Election Day, election month, year. Wait, what? Hold on, what?